Modern biblical scholarship attempts to understand Revelation in its first-century historical context. Within the genre of Jewish and Christian apocalyptic literature, this approach considers the text as an address to 7 historical communities in Asia Minor. Under this interpretation, assertions that the time is near are to be taken literally by those communities. Consequently, the work is viewed as a warning to not conform to contemporary Greco-Roman society, which John unveils as beastly, demonic, and subject to divine judgment. New Testament narrative criticism also places Revelation in its first-century historical context, but approaches the book from a literary perspective. For example, narrative critics examine characters and characterization, literary devices, settings, plot, themes, point of view, implied reader, implied author, and other constitutive features of narratives in their analysis of the book. Although the acceptance of Revelation into the canon has, from the beginning, been controversial, it has been essentially similar to the career of other texts. The eventual exclusion of other contemporary apocalyptic literature from the canon may throw light on the unfolding historical processes of what was officially considered orthodox, what was heterodox, and what was even heretical. Interpretation of meanings and imagery are anchored in what the historical author intended and what his contemporary audience inferred. A message to Christians not to assimilate into the Roman imperial culture was John's central message. Thus, the letter, written in the apocalyptic genre, is pastoral in nature. Its purpose is offering hope to the downtrodden, and the symbolism of Revelation is to be understood entirely within its historical, literary, and social context. Critics study the conventions of apocalyptic literature and events of the first century to make sense of what the author may have intended. Scholar Barbara Whitlock pointed out a similarity between the consistent destruction of thirds depicted in the Book of Revelation, a third of mankind by plagues of fire, smoke, and brimstone, a third of the trees and green grass, a third of the sea creatures and a third of the ships at sea, etc., and the Iranian mythology evil character Zarek or Dahag, depicted in the Avesta, the earliest religious texts of Zoroastrianism. Dahag is mentioned as wreaking much evil in the world until at last chained up and imprisoned on the mythical Mt. Demarvon. The Middle Persian sources prophesy that at the end of the world, Dahag will at last burst his bonds and ravage the world, consuming 1 in 3 humans and livestock, until the ancient hero Kursasp returns to life to kill Dahag. Whitlock wrote, Zoroastrianism, the state religion of the Roman Empire's main rival, was part of the intellectual environment in which Christianity came into being, just as were Judaism, the Greek-Roman religion, and the worship of Isis and Mithras. A Zoroastrian influence is completely plausible.